President Bola Tinubu today, Wednesday, October 23, 2024, dismissed 5 ministers from his cabinet, appointed 7 and reassigned 10. This was contained in a statement by the special advisor to the president on social media, Dada Olusegun, on Wednesday. Now, the statement also included the renaming of the Ministry of Niger Delta Development to the Ministry of Regional Development to oversee the activities of all the regional development commissions. The transfer of the functions of the Ministry of Sports Development to the National Sports Commission. The merger of the Federal Ministry of Tourism and the Federal Ministry of Arts and Culture to become the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. Well, joining me on the program at this time to discuss this recent development is Abraham Great. He's a public affairs analyst. I also have Dr. Yahuza Ahmad-Getso, is also a public affairs analyst. Both men join me virtually. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so maybe I should start with you, Abraham. Now, what do you make of this shakeup? Even though, there had been rumors of this weeks back, do you think it's performance-based or a retooling of political strategy?
Thank you, Dapo. I mean, it's my first time of having a show with you, and I hope it's a good one. Every serious government anywhere in part of the world will have to have standard practices, and reshufflement is a standard practice where you have to check on performance base. But we have to also look that we operate a very young democracy in terms of Nigeria. So balancing the politics of the day plus the administrative policies and stuff like that. So things have to be on a balance. When the president who is there now won the election, a lot of the appointments, you will realize there were recommendations from the state levels, more from the state levels. So you have to have an appraiser of what is going on, and then how do we maintain peace in the country? So I'm sure it's a combination of both.
Let me throw the question to Mr. Ahmad-Getso. For you, the recent appointments and, of course, those that were let go, before we even move to the ministry, for you, do you see this based on performance or just, political strategy here at play?
Well, I think President Bola Tinubu has done something highly commendable. Why? Because he made mention very clear when he was appointing the ministers that they would be appraised at a certain time. So I think this is kind of fulfilling his promise to Nigerians, and at the same time, as a measuring indicator, as an element to pass the vote of confidence to Nigerians that President Bola Tinubu is ready to kind of work with his, translate his words into action. So it is really a good political strategy, and it's a message to other serving ministers and the new ministers that have been engaged, that you guys should understand that we are not only here for business of staying as a ministers, but rather we are here for performance-based appraisal. So it's highly commendable, and that is an exhibition of commitments and having a listening ears for what Nigerians have been kind of talking in respect to the performance and the capacity of the ministers here and there. And we hope the President Bola Tinubu will continue to take it along accordingly to ensure that quality matters and result-based matters.
I mean, if you were to sort of give some sort of scorecard so far, how would you rate the entire cabinet as of now?
Well, to some extent, I will give a very kind of 65 to 70.
65 to 70?
Yes. Why? Because
that's an A. That should be an A in school, I guess. That's a B, actually.
Yes. At the time when President Bola Tinubu came into power, the country was almost collapsing. So it is based on those analysis and based on those situations and how he has been able to maintain. You know, he has not really done so much in terms of moving forward, but he has done so much in terms of maintaining and then bringing a more newer policies that can drive,
I would like you,
the country.
I'm sorry to, I'm sorry to interrupt your line of thought, but you seem to have rated the performance of the administration. You've given it a near distinction, and you said it's been able to maintain, you know, if not maybe, you know, aggressively progressive. So I would like you to be specific. What areas, in terms of measures, is it the economy? Is it security? You know, something we can hold on to. Where have they performed so far?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, they have really moved from where we were before in terms of security. If you look at the northeastern part of the country, how many local governments we are having problems, and how many local governments are we having problems now? How many states in the northwest, even though there are still attacks in Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, and Niger and others, but at the same time, you can also say that, you can also believe that a lot of gun runners, a lot of armed traders, a lot of attacks that are being carried out in many other local governments are no longer there. And a lot of farmlands are being cultivated. Whereas in the few years ago, before the emergence of President Bola Tinubu, there are a number of, you can even say that there is no single local government in Nigeria that the entire local government is not being cultivated, all the farmlands. And even in the northeastern part of the country and in the northwestern part of the country. I'm not saying that President Bola Tinubu have performed in terms of security 100%, and I'm not saying that he has performed in terms of economic 100%, but he has kind of maintained a certain status quo and have been trying to kind of re-coordinate and remobilize, and this even reshufflement is an exhibition of his commitments towards ensuring that there is a change. You know, you have to
you've not been specific. I'm sorry, but you've also not been specific in the area of the economy. You said the security, according to you, there is relative, you know, security across board. People returning to the farmland.
If I may come.
Okay, maybe I should leave you for a moment. Let me leave you, Dr. Ahmad-Getso. Let me go to Great, Mr. Great, so that I can hear his thoughts, because he's eager to talk. Let's hear you.
First, I'm a proponent of this government, but the scorecard, I think, from my colleagues is extremely generous. And this is coming from someone who is a proponent of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I wouldn't even score it up to 50 in any sense. I wouldn't. The analogy I would give is when we are in school. You remember when you're in university, your first year, you might be giving off, maybe you are around 45, 46, maybe you are not even getting a 2-2. But the next 2-3 years, depending on where you went to school, if it's 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years, you will have to put up with whatever you have lapsed in the first year. The first year of the administration cannot in any sense be rated as a success. Even the president admitted that. However, where I agree with my colleague on the show is that in the area of security, the government outperformed the previous governments of recent time. Particularly, there was doubt around the appointment of the NSA in terms of putting a police, ranking person in NSA, talking in terms of Nuru Ribadu. But we have seen that has worked, reasonably well to an extent. But when you also look at the economic reform, I would not give it a pass mark, but I understand what they're trying to do. So I can see that the reforms would take time to yield, but at least we have a government that has got a gut. We have a government that has at least taken a bold step. For example, you're looking at, no matter how the fight back is, the removal of subsidy is only commendable. Any sensible government anywhere in the world will applaud Nigeria for doing so, because the corruption, when you talk about the corruption of Nigeria.
Talking about subsidy, I'm sorry to cut in, but talking about subsidy, some have argued that, the removal wasn't, the issue, that or the corruption around subsidy, necessitating the removal, shouldn't have been the issue. Mm-hmm. It's an issue of management. That you cannot say because, please, I'm getting at somewhere. You cannot say, some would even tell you, in local palace that because, a baby is crying, you throw it away with the bathwater. That maybe if it had been managed such that the corruption within it is nipped in the bud. I mean, across the world, countries give rebate. They give subsidy to their citizens. The only subsidy that many Nigerians feel is on fuel, is on oil. It affects their daily lives. So, for many in that school of thought, they will tell you it was a totally wrong move, a total removal.
You cannot talk in the affirmative. So when you're using the word totally, you are exegesing, or you are asserting that you are certainly sure without premise that, for you to have that fact.
But he said subsidy is gone. That sounded affirmative. That sounded like totally gone.
Hear this, Dapo.
So
you are assuming that the subsidy, however the sum of subsidy was, you are telling me that the effect it has on the people per capita is substantive enough, comparable or proportionate to the corruption that was going on. Let me give you an inference. Before the subsidy removal, how much of fuel was said that Nigerians were consuming on a daily basis? Compared to now that it's been removed, the endemic nature of the corruption that was going on in terms of importation of fuel and diesel and what have you is what has crippled Nigeria from 1960 to whatever it is. That regime, however you want to handle it, it has to find a way to go. Now, I'm imperfect in terms of how that affects the people. The people did not even know that none of the subsidy was getting to them in the first place. But how do we argue for that? Because price has now gone up. I don't think that's our topic today.
It is part of it because that affects every Nigerian. It's linked to it.
So I would not want to delve into that because it will throw us into some areas that Nigerians are sensitive at this point, and over-analysis, trying to explain things over, people will tell you you're a motivational speaker. People will tell you that you're just talking jargons because people want what will reflect on their table right now. Nigerians are going through a lot. That is why I cannot score like my colleague did. The government, I will not even give them a 48 yet. It's not yet a pass mark. But I see indices, I see indications that the government is on the right path. Okay. I see the indications that it is going to get better because I've lived long enough to also know that since I was born in the 70s, there has been no time that people are happy with any government. We are always criticizing every government. But this is the first time in my lifetime that I see a government that is intentional about economic reform.
Okay, let me leave you for a moment, Abraham. Let me go to Dr. Ahmad-Getso. Now, let's come back to the issue, that happened today. One of it also has to do with a retooling of some ministries. Now, we know that the ministry, for instance, of Niger Delta Development, has been retooled to be the Ministry of Regional Development to oversee activities of all regional development commissions. And there's also the issue of sports, to where there was a major rejig, Ministry of Sports Development to the National Sports Commission, and of course, some mergers and all. I would like your reaction to this move by the administration.
There are a lot of criticism by many Nigerians in respect to the issues around cost of governance. They need to have a reduction. So it's part of the reform, and it's part of the strategic action plan President Bola Tinubu has introduced by merging one ministry and the other, and then focusing on the national unity is one of the reasons that a Ministry of Regional Development have been recreated and refined. So it is a kind of systematic measure to ensure that governance in the country is interwoven in the sense that government open its eyes government open its ears, government open its door, and it's allow influx of information, influx of support, criticism, and consider criticism as a way forward, as an element, or as a kind of as part of the requirement that it is using in order to review certain things. So I think Nigerians, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu deserve Nigerian recommendations from all Nigerians. It is one step forward towards ensuring that the cost of governance is reduced, and then also looking inwards to see that to some extent,
I mean,
how do we move forward?
Talking about cost of governance
being
reduced, I mean, he let go 5 ministers, appointed 7 more. Some Nigerians would ask, how does that cut cost? You know, even though we know that, you know, some would also argue that it's necessary.
Imagine the ministries. Imagine the 2 ministries.
The 2 ministries.
Else.
Okay.
Despite the fact that the 7 ministers, 5 ministers were sacked, and then other ministers were also reappointed, there must be a justification to that. And government must have conducted a background check on those ministers that have been asked to leave, and that has been relieved, and also for the quality of the ministers that have been brought on board. So I'm sure if Nigerians exercise some level of patience, will now understand and will see the value of why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing so. And going back, we need to also go back and look at the manifesto of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the inception of his campaign promises.
I'm sorry, but I'm told that we are really pressed for time. Of course, we might just need to go. But before I let you go, I just want to ask you, looking at the ministers that, were let go, do you feel that some should have been allowed to stay back?
Well, not really, because there must be a kind of a factual base, and there is a monitoring unit under the Hadiza Bala Muhammad, Hadiza Yusuf Muhammad, that she has been putting. I mean, the government already have put a major instruments which they have used in kind of following up and for striking the performance and the qualities of the minister.
Okay, Dr.
So it is based on that.
I'm sorry?
Based on that document, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appraised the ministers, and then he let some of them go for certain reasons.
All right, Abraham, great. Your final thoughts on this, and do you feel that maybe, some of those ministers that were let go should have been allowed to stay back? Maybe they had some promise.
Opinions wouldn't matter any longer because the decisions have been made. Yeah, and because I know the president to an extent, I know his team, I know how they work. I know that thoughtfulness would have gone into this, and also there is a level of corporate governance. So I know that they also engage sometimes international organizations like KPMG and the rest of the Accenture and stuff like that into decision making. So all the indices that needs to have been taken into effect would have been, looked into. So I wouldn't fault any decisions yet. We have to see the performance of the people that have been appointed. But let me just give this last thought on it. We are too fixated on how many people are appointed or the cost of governance and what have you. That is good in terms of the antics the government have to live by example. But we're not going to get a better country because we appointed less number of people. You've got to find the number of people that you need to fix the country. It's not about it must be limited amount of money. Yes, the cost of governance must be managed, but we have to bring in all the technocrats to fix the Nigerian vehicle.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time on the program. Abraham Great, a public affairs analyst, and also Dr. Yahuza Ahmad-Getso, a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time on the program. Great to have you. Hopefully, we have you some other time. Again.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you.
All right. And that's a wrap on today's episode. In case you missed out, you can actually catch up on our YouTube platform. That's News Central TV. You can also follow us across social media with the same name, News Central Television. The name is on your screen. You can follow me personally on socials at Dakbo at Digboye. The opinion of our guest remains theirs and not that of News Central. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.